Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like the person staring back wasn't enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough? That voice in your head, so familiar, so constant, it doesn't scream, it whispers. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because self-doubt doesn't come crashing into your life like a storm. It seeps in like poison, drip by drip, until one day you can't tell the difference between who you are and what it tells you. I need you to hear me right now. Self-doubt is not your truth. It's a lie that's been rehearsed so many times in your head that it sounds like reality. It comes from the faces and voices you trusted once, maybe even loved, who made you feel small. From the moments you failed, and instead of saying, "I'm learning," you said, "I'm not good enough." But here's the truth nobody told you. Those moments weren't meant to define you. They were meant to refine you. The danger of self-doubt is that it teaches you to betray yourself. You stop speaking up in the meeting because you think your ideas aren't good enough. You don't start the business because you think you're not ready. You stay in that relationship because you think nobody else would choose you. And slowly, without realizing it, you become a stranger in your own life. I've seen this destroy dreams. I've felt it try to destroy mine. But let me tell you something I wish I had known years ago. Self-doubt cannot survive action. It thrives in your hesitation, in your overthinking, in your waiting for the perfect moment. The moment you move, even with fear in your chest and shaking hands, you take away its power. Because confidence is not built before action, it is built through action. You've been waiting for proof before you believe in yourself. But the proof will never come until you start moving. Stop looking for permission from a world that profits from your insecurity. Stop letting the mirror be a weapon when it should be a reminder that you're still here, still breathing, still capable. The first step to overcoming self-doubt forever is this. Refuse to let the voice in your head be the only one you listen to. Today you start building a new voice. One that says, "I am worthy, I am capable, I am ready." Even if you don't believe it yet, say it anyway, because the more you speak it, the more your soul will believe it. Self-doubt is a thief, but it doesn't break into your mind. It's invited. You let it in when you compare yourself to someone else's highlight reel. You let it in when you replay your mistakes like a broken record. You let it in every time you measure your worth by someone else's approval. And once it's inside, it makes itself comfortable, rearranging your thoughts until your reflection feels like a stranger. The problem is, you've mistaken self-doubt for humility. You've convinced yourself that questioning your worth is the same as being modest. But humility is knowing your value and choosing not to boast. Self-doubt is not humility, it's self-sabotage. And every time you let it decide for you, you reinforce the belief that you are not enough. Let me tell you something that will make you uncomfortable. The only way to kill self-doubt is to starve it. And that means you have to stop feeding it your attention. You have to stop obsessing over every possible way things could go wrong. You have to stop rehearsing failure in your head before you've even taken the first step. Instead, you feed your confidence. You feed it small wins, tiny victories every single day. You finish the workout even when you didn't want to. You speak your idea even if your voice shakes. You show up early. You stay consistent. You choose effort over excuses. Because confidence is not a lightning strike. It's a muscle. And the more you use it, the stronger the anger it becomes. But here's the hardest truth. No one is coming to save you from self-doubt. No mentor, no partner, no friend can silence the war in your head. That fight is yours. You win it not by waiting until you feel ready, but by acting while you're terrified. The people you admire, the ones who seem so sure of themselves, they feel fear too. They just don't let it decide for them. So here's what you do. Take one action today that self-doubt wouldn't want you to take. Something it has been telling you to avoid. Something that makes your chest tighten. Do it. And when you do, notice how self-doubt gets quieter. That's how you win. not in one grand moment, but in 1,000 small ones, where you choose courage over comfort. Self-doubt is not born in you, it's planted. Sometimes in childhood, when a careless word from a parent made you question your abilities. Sometimes in school, when one bad grade convinced you weren't smart enough. Sometimes in relationships, when love was conditional and you learned to second-guess every part of yourself just to be accepted. The problem is, you took those moments and built an identity around them. You started telling yourself, this is just who I am. I'm the quiet one, the one who doesn't take risks, the one who needs others to decide. But that's not who you are. That's who you've been trained to be. And as long as you keep wearing that costume, you'll keep playing small in your own life. Let me tell you something most people will never say out loud. The world benefits when you doubt yourself. Companies profit when you think you need to look a certain way to be beautiful. Society stays safe when you're too afraid to challenge it. People in power remain in control when you believe you have none. This is why overcoming self-doubt is not just personal growth, it's rebellion. It's taking back control from every system, every person, every belief that told you to shrink. And here's the secret. They can't fight you if you show up as your full self. The moment you stop apologizing for existing, the moment you stop waiting for the right time, the moment you stop needing to be liked, you become unstoppable. Not because the fear disappears, but because it no longer decides your fate. Every time you feel that voice telling you, don't try, you'll fail, I want you to imagine it as an enemy trying to break into your home. Would you hand them the keys? Would you invite them in for tea? No, you'd lock the doors, you'd fight back, you'd protect what's yours. Your mind is your home. Guard it with the same energy. You don't overcome self-doubt by becoming fearless. You overcome it by acting in spite of fear. You start by taking ownership of your thoughts. You stop letting your past decide your future. And you remind yourself every single day, I am not here to play small. I am here to take up space. Self-doubt loves quiet moments. It loves when you're lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every mistake you've ever made. It loves when you're scrolling on social media, comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. It loves when you're about to take a risk and it whispers, who do you think you are? And here's the dangerous part. You answer it. You start listing all the reasons you're not ready, all the times you failed, all the evidence that supports the lie. You've been building a case against yourself your entire life. But have you ever built a case for yourself? Have you ever sat down and listed all the reasons you can do it? The times you survived what you thought would break you? The moments you pushed through when no one was watching? Here's what you have to understand. Self-doubt will never disappear on its own. You can't wait for the day you wake up suddenly confident. Confidence doesn't arrive at your doorstep like a package. It's built, brick by brick, action by action, decision by decision. And every time you choose action over hesitation, you lay another brick in the foundation of your self-belief. But the reason so many people stay stuck is because they think confidence is a feeling. It's not. Confidence is a choice you make before you feel ready. It's stepping into the room, into the conversation, into the opportunity without waiting for the butterflies to leave. The butterflies are supposed to be there. They mean you're growing. Let's be real. You can't think your way out of self-doubt. You can only act your way out. You cannot convince your mind to believe in you by sitting still. You must move. You must speak. You must take the shot. Send the message, start the project. The action might be messy, imperfect, even awkward, but it will be yours. And once you do it, something magical happens. You start to see evidence that you can trust yourself. And the more evidence you gather, the quieter that voice becomes. Until one day you realize it's still there, but it no longer controls you. That's when you've won. There's a truth about self-doubt that most people don't want to hear. It's comfortable. I know that sounds strange, but think about it. As long as you doubt yourself, you don't have to risk failure. You don't have to face rejection. You don't have to step into the unknown. Self-doubt keeps you safe. But safe is not the same as alive. You've mistaken comfort for peace. But comfort is just a slow death. It's the slow erosion of your potential. It's years passing by while you stay exactly where you are, convincing yourself that one day you'll be ready. And one day never comes, because readiness is not something you wait for, it's something you create. The people you admire, the ones who seem fearless, they're not fearless at all. They've just learned to move with fear sitting in the passenger seat instead of behind the wheel. They don't wait for courage to show up. They act, and courage meets them along the way. You can do the same, but it requires a decision that most people will never make, to be okay with discomfort. Every time you take an action though. As self-doubt tells you not to, you weaken it. Every time you push through fear, you teach your brain a new pattern. You're rewiring yourself, showing your mind that you can feel the fear, hear the doubt, and still move forward. That's how self-trust is built. And here's the part that will change your life. Once you start proving to yourself that you can act despite doubt, your brain begins to expect success instead of failure. It starts to assume, I can handle this, instead of, I'm not ready for this. That shift is everything. It's the difference between living on defense and living on offense. Self-doubt will always knock at your door, but when it does, you won't hide anymore. You'll open the door, look it in the eyes and say, you can come with me, but you can't stop me. And then you'll move, because movement is your power. The longer you wait to take control of your doubt, the louder it gets. But the moment you start acting in spite of it, it begins to lose its voice. And one day, you'll look back and wonder why you ever let it speak for you. Self-doubt feeds on uncertainty, and the more you avoid making decisions, the stronger it grows. You tell yourself, I'm just thinking it through, but what you're really doing is delaying your own life. Overthinking is self-doubt's weapon of choice. It keeps you spinning in circles, so you never move forward. But here's the reality most people don't want to accept. Clarity doesn't come before action. Clarity is the result of action. You cannot know all the answers from where you're standing. You learn them while moving. You figure out the path by walking it, not by staring at the map from a distance. Every time you hesitate, you give self-doubt another win. You tell your brain, I can't trust myself to decide. And that's dangerous. Because the less you trust yourself, the more you rely on others to tell you what to do. Before you know it, your life is being driven by their fears, their limitations, their opinions. And you're just a passenger in your own story. You have to break that cycle. You have to start making small, fast decisions and living with them. Not all of them will be perfect. Some will hurt. Some will fail, but every decision you make for yourself strengthens your self-trust. And the more you trust yourself, the quieter that inner critic becomes. The truth is, you already know what you need to do. You've known for a while. You've felt it in your gut, in your chest, in the moments before you fall asleep. You're just afraid to admit it, because it means you'll have to act. And acting means risk. But risk is the price of freedom. And if you want a life where self-doubt doesn't own you, you have to be willing to pay that price. Stop letting the fear of making the wrong choice keep you from making any choice. Because here's the secret. The wrong choice, acted on with commitment, will still take you further than no choice at all. So from this moment forward, you act, you decide, you commit. And every time doubt tries to freeze you, you remind yourself, movement is my antidote, and hesitation is my enemy. Self-doubt thrives in isolation. It grows louder when you keep your dreams locked inside your head, when you hide your struggles because you think no one will understand. The more you keep silent, the more that voice convinces you that you're the only one who feels this way. And that's the biggest lie of all. You are not alone in this battle. Even the strongest people you know, the ones who look like they have it all figured out, fight with self-doubt. The difference is, they don't let it stay hidden. They talk about it. They seek out people who lift them, challenge them, and remind them of who they are when they forget. You cannot overcome self-doubt in a vacuum. You need the right environment. If you surround yourself with people who constantly criticize, who plant seeds of fear, who make you second-guess your very move, you will never outgrow your own uncertainty. But if you place yourself around people who believe in you, who speak life into your ideas, who push you to keep going when you want to quit, your self-doubt doesn't stand a chance. But here's the catch. You have to choose those people intentionally. You have to let go of the ones who feed your fear, even if they're comfortable, even if you've known them forever. Because every conversation is either adding fuel to your belief or to your doubt. And you get to decide which one you want more of. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your confidence is to borrow it from someone else. Let their belief in you carry you through until yours catches up. Let their words drown out the lies in your head. And then, as you grow stronger, you become that person for someone else. Self-doubt hates community because community reminds you of your power. It hates encouragement because encouragement builds resilience. It hates truth because truth exposes the lies it's been whispering to you for years. So stop fighting this battle alone. Speak your fears out loud. Let someone you trust remind you of what's real. Because when you stand with others, your voice gets louder and self-doubt gets smaller. Self-doubt will always try to disguise itself as logic. It will sound reasonable. It will tell you, maybe now isn't the right time, or you should get more experience first, or you don't want to embarrass yourself. And because it feels rational, you'll believe it. But listen closely. Logic that limits you is not logic. It's fear in disguise. The truth is, self-doubt doesn't need to scream to be effective. It just needs to sound convincing enough for you to pause. And in that pause, opportunity slips away, dreams fade, potential rots. You tell yourself you'll try later, and later becomes never. Here's what most people is. You never learn. Your life is not shaped by the moments you feel ready. It's shaped by the moments you choose to leap before you are. If you wait for certainty, you'll be waiting forever. Certainty is a luxury only movement can earn you. You cannot think your way into confidence. You must act your way into it. And yes, that means you will fail sometimes. You will get it wrong. You will have moments where you question if you made a mistake. But that's the point. Every failure is proof that you tried. Every misstep is a lesson your mind couldn't have learned by staying safe. The only real mistake is choosing not to try at all. Self-doubt wants you to believe that failure means you're not good enough. But failure is not evidence of weakness. It's evidence of courage. It's proof that you were willing to put yourself on the line. And every time you survive a failure, you realize you're stronger than you thought. I need you to understand something. The enemy of self-doubt is action, but the weapon is momentum. The more you move, the harder it becomes for that voice to catch you. You create a rhythm of trying, learning, and adjusting, and before long, your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who doubts, and start seeing yourself as someone who does. Stop looking for reasons why you can't. Start looking for the one reason you should, and let that reason be enough. Because when you commit to action, you commit to rewriting the story self-doubt has been telling you your entire life. Self-doubt has a favorite trick. It makes you think that everyone else has something you don't. More talent, more confidence, more luck. You look at people who are succeeding and convince yourself they were born with something special. But let me tell you the truth, they'll never put in their Instagram captions. They doubted themselves too. The difference is they didn't stop moving. You've built this myth in your head that successful people are fearless, that they wake up every day certain of themselves. They don't. They wake up and do it anyway. They've just trained themselves to move before doubt can catch up. And that's the skill you need to build. The discipline to take action before your mind talks you out of it. The problem is, you're comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You're judging your first draft against their finished masterpiece. You're forgetting that the people you admire were once exactly where you are, uncertain, insecure, and scared out of their minds. The only difference, they didn't wait for those feelings to go away. They built their success in the middle of their doubt. Here's the reality. If you want to overcome self-doubt forever, you have to stop chasing perfection. Perfection is the ultimate trap. It keeps you polishing and planning instead of producing. And while you're busy perfecting, someone else is out there actually doing. They're building momentum, gathering results, learning lessons. They're growing while you're still waiting. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start. And the moment you do, you'll realize something powerful. Most of the limits you thought you had were never real. They existed only in your mind, created and reinforced by the very self-doubt that's been holding you hostage. You've spent too much time standing on the edge, looking at the water, wondering if you can swim. The only way to know is to jump in. Yes, it will be cold at first. Yes, you'll panic. But within seconds, your body will remember what it's capable of. Stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. You'll only ever feel scared. And then you'll do it anyway. And that's when self-doubt begins to lose its grip on you. Self-doubt loves to keep you living in the past. It will remind you of every wrong turn you've taken, every time you've been embarrassed, every moment you've fallen short. It wants you to relive those failures until they feel like your identity. But let me tell you something, your past is not a life sentence, it's a lesson. Every mistake you've made was a teacher. Every failure was a doorway. The problem is, you've been looking at those moments as proof you're not capable, when in reality, they were training grounds for what's coming next. You've survived things that the old you never thought you could handle. You've adapted, learned, and grown in ways you don't give yourself credit for. Self-doubt will try to tell you, you failed before, you'll fail again. But here's the truth. It's not the same you anymore. The person who made those mistakes doesn't exist. You're wiser now, stronger, more aware, and that means the game has changed. But the longer you keep letting the past define you, the more you chain yourself to it. You keep walking into new opportunities with the mindset of the person who failed years ago. No wonder you hesitate. You're fighting battles that aren't even here anymore. It's time to rewrite the narrative. When self-doubt throws your past in your face, respond with, yes, I failed before and I'm still here and I'll keep showing up. That resilience, that refusal to quit is exactly what will take you to the next level. Think of every single person you admire. They have all failed, not once, not twice, hundreds of times. The only difference between them and the people who never made it is that they refused to let failure define their identity. They treated it as data, not a death sentence. Your past doesn't get to decide your future unless you hand it the pen. And right now, I want you to take that pen back. Write the next chapter without letting old pages dictate what's possible. You've been through enough to know this. You can't erase your past, but you can outgrow it. And once you truly believe that, self-doubt loses one of its strongest weapons against you. Self-doubt doesn't just steal your confidence, it steals your time. Every day you spend second guessing yourself is a day you could have been building something. You think you're being cautious, but you're actually letting your life slip through your fingers. And one day, if you're not careful, you'll wake up and realize you've been preparing for a moment you never took. The most dangerous part? Self-doubt convinces you there's always more time. It tells you you can start next month, next year, when things calm down. But the truth is, there will never be a perfect time. Life will always be messy. You will always have fear. You will always have uncertainty. The only difference between the people who build the life they want and the ones who don't is that they start before they feel ready. Every hour you spend trapped in hesitation is an hour you could have been building momentum. And momentum is everything. It's the force that keeps you going when motivation fades. It's what carries you through the hard days when self-doubt starts whispering again. Without momentum, you're restarting from zero every time fear wins. I need you to see self-doubt for what it is, a parasite. It feeds on your inaction. It gets stronger every time you stall, every time you put off that phone call, that application, that idea. The only way to starve it is to act fast, not recklessly, but decisively. Here's the truth. The clock is ticking whether you move or not. The opportunities you're afraid to take will pass. The doors you hesitate to walk through will close. And there's nothing worse than realizing you missed your moment because you were too busy arguing with yourself in your own head. So from this moment on, you set a rule for your life. No more endless hesitation. If something scares you, if it excites you, if it calls to you, you act within 24 hours. You send the message, you take the step, you make the call, and you deal with the rest as it comes. Because the only thing, Eska, rather than failing, is never knowing what could have happened if you had just tried. Self-doubt will never vanish completely. And that's okay. The goal is not to erase it, but to strip it of its power. You will still hear that voice sometimes. You will still feel the weight of uncertainty. But the difference will be this. It won't control you anymore. You will have built the reflex to move forward anyway. You must understand, self-doubt is not your enemy. It's your signal. It's the sign that you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, the proof that you're doing something that matters. The presence of doubt means you're growing. It means you're in the arena, not sitting on the sidelines,